join with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have roll call, please?
Jerry DiTullio.
Here.
Bud Starker.
Present.
Zachary Urban.
Present.
George Pond.
Present.
Christy Davis.
Here.
Genevieve Wooden.
Here.
Tim Fitzgerald.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you.
And I didn't hear from Ms. Langworthy, so I don't know where she is.
I believe Ms. Langworthy did report in, I think, to our city
I'm
manager.
sorry, she did to me, yeah.
Yes.
Ms. Langer will be absent this evening.
Are there any changes to the minutes of October 13? If no-
Motion to approve the
No
minutes?
changes? Did you have a change?
No, just motion to
changes?
approve it.
Actually, the minutes there are then approved as received. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to some proclamations and ceremonies. And I understand we have a representative from Five Fridge Farms who would like to give us some, I guess, happy news or something. Wasn't that it? Amanda, wasn't it? Weaver.
Amanda Weaver, yeah.
Say your name again.
Amanda Weaver
Okay.
from Five Ridges Farm, which is at 11100 West 38th Avenue in Wheat Ridge. And
And I'm Carol Sue Frickle. I'm just a citizen of Wheat Ridge and a coordinator of volunteer at Color Strand Elementary.
thank you, Council, for letting us speak for a moment. We are here with some really fun news from a project that happened this summer between Cooler Strand Elementary and Five Ridges Farm and CU Denver. And so we just have 3 PowerPoint slides to show you about this fun project. This is nothing controversial, nothing anyone has to
Darn.
yay or nay on, just a fun thing. So
A
successful fun thing. And I'm not sure what a proclamation is, so put on as a proclamation. All right. So what you're seeing, there we go. This was a project, a farm-to-table project between CU Denver. We have an urban agricultural certificate program where students learn to grow and learn to integrate urban agriculture into the community. Of course, Wheat Ridge is at the forefront of a lot of urban agricultural initiatives around the metro area. And Cooler Strand Elementary in Wheat Ridge, which is a Title I school. And we wanted to see how we could create some connections in growing and eating vegetables and creating some fun for kids. So this program brought student volunteers together with Cooler Strand families, and I'm going to ask everybody to wave that's from Cooler Strand. We've got a group here, and we have a couple CU Denver students. One of the grad students who ran the program, Kate Farley, is right here. And essentially what we did is we wanted to think about, Cooler Strand has a really great backpack program that is involved with
What we do is provide food for the families, for the needy families, Title I families, for the weekend. We get our food from our Arvada Food Bank. We have volunteers, dedicated, wonderful, hardworking people who come together at Cooler Strand every Thursday morning at 8 o'clock and pack about 100 bags of food for the children to take home that weekend to supplement the weekend food that their parents would provide them.
And Carol Sue came to me last year and said, wow, we should really think about getting fresh vegetables into this program, and how can we do that, and what would that look like? And so what we decided to do was take a raised bed space at Five Ridges Farm, which is a 13-acre farm in the middle of Wheat Ridge between 38th Avenue and 32nd Avenue, between Kipling and Youngfield. And my students at CU kind of took that over, and they planned the garden, and they grew vegetables that went out in basically weekly shares to different families from Cooler Strand. And what ended up happening was it wasn't just the growing and the getting the vegetables out, but we connected with lots of families at Cooler Strand, and lots of kids ended up coming to the farm, and lots of people started integrating, and the students did a great Facebook page on how to cook vegetables and all these great things. Yeah. Yes, sorry about that. And besides all of that, we had some fantastic community donors as well. Individuals came out, Southwest Gardens, Clear Creek Organics, and other individual community donors that donated plant starts, as well as money to get this program started. So just wanted to show you some pictures, and we're planning this again for next year. So it's pretty exciting. Just several different community groups coming together to do something cool in Wheat Ridge. So thank you. Did you want to say anything more?
No, it's just a great program, and we'll continue it next year, expand it, and it'll be even better. So thank you for your time, and by the way, anybody who wants to come and volunteer for the backpack packing program, I'll see you this Thursday at 8 o'clock at Color Strand. Thank you.
She's a promoter.
Thank you, Council, for letting us speak.
Thank you very much. Every meeting, we have a representative, usually a principal from one of the schools. Janine, do you want to, Genevieve?
We have a new committee in Wheat Ridge called the Wheat Ridge Committee for Educational Excellence. And we're working with 17 schools that serve Wheat Ridge residents. Part of this program is to connect our citizens to our schools and let them know what's going on. Tonight we have two visitors. The first is Jill Fellman from the Jefferson County School Board. She's going to talk for a few minutes. And then our school representative tonight is Jeff Gomez from Everett Middle School. Thanks.
Hello, how's everyone doing? I just wanted to share some great news about Jeffco Schools and what's happening in Wheat Ridge. First of all, I'm going to start with Color Strand. We just saw some great pictures. They had, as a school, they've done some immense growth academically, and last summer, they were able to do a facelift outside, so the outside matches the inside in terms of great things happening. So as you drive by that school, you will see, I think, some needed growth. Prospect Valley has a really fun program for STEM kids for 3rd and 4th grade girls. And that's really exciting. They're working cooperatively with a professor from CU to advance STEM education for kids. And I think that's really cool. Westera Credit Union just awarded grants for 36 of our schools, 2 of them in Wheat Ridge, at Pennington Elementary, and they're going to use that grant for enrichment classes and opportunities, also from Wheat Ridge High School for new practice football equipment, and I don't know anything more than that, except the next item, which is really exciting. There were 30,000 high schools from across our country rated by U.S. News World Report. Jeffco had 6 in the top 50, which we're celebrating. And what y'all need to know is Wheat Ridge High School is number 29. Is that cool or what? My last item is not about Wheat Ridge necessarily, but certainly Wheat Ridge kids participated. We held our first student town hall at Alameda High School a few days ago. Over 70 kids participated actively, really learning about their community and what it takes to be civically engaged. And we will continue that, and I'll let you know how that's happening. I think it's great to see our kids, our young people, really engaged with government at all levels. So thank you. Any questions?
No.
Okay, I don't do wait time, so I'm going to introduce my colleague, Jeff Gomez from Everett Middle School.
Hi, Jeff.
Thank you, Council, for letting me have the opportunity to come talk tonight. And Councilperson Wooden, I appreciate the work that you're doing with this educational partnership. Everett Middle School currently serves students that come to us with 70% free reduced lunch. And about 50% of our students are minority students. And we are dealing with a perception problem. Because of our population and the economics of our families, our test scores aren't what we'd like them to be. Yet we offer lots of wonderful things for our students at our building, and I think our diversity is one of those things. I gave everyone Councilperson Wooden a packet, and I'd like you to turn to the second page because it's really the work that we're trying to do at Everett currently. And it's really our school vision. Our mission is to create critical thinkers and problem solvers. And you do that through highly engaging, rigorous, and positive accountability classrooms. So our vision is really to focus on teacher and student success, at least academic achievement. To support this work, we are focusing on 3 pillars: engagement, positive accountability, and rigor. These pillars will support teachers to be highly effective and support students to excel academically, socially, and emotionally. Professional learning communities are a bedrock, and we are using a growth mindset as the way we want to operate. We have teachers, we have a very highly qualified staff of teachers that offer lots of after-school programs. In fact, right now we offer 14 clubs. We have a partnership with Wheat Ridge High School where we have students coming in every day, Monday through Thursday, to offer a homework club for our students. We are setting expectations that all students will be successful at our school through a variety of opportunities in and outside of the classroom. And we're doing some really good things over there, and we want to change that perception that's just based solely on what test scores say. And I would love for any and all of you guys to come in and walk around Everett with me and see the great things that are happening, and I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Does council have any questions about critical thinking and problem solving? Or we've got that all mastered here, don't we? Okay. We're going to move on to citizens' right to speak, and I have quite a long list here, which may or may not, I'm not sure what all the topics are, but if some of you were planning to discuss marijuana, that is item number 1. So this would be more of items that are not marijuana related at this point. So if I may have some speakers, please.
Hi, my name is Kim Harr, Harr, 7190 West 48th Avenue. I'm here tonight to just thank everybody that came out to support our trunk or treat this past Saturday. We had over 2,000 people attend, so it was the biggest and best yet. So I just wanted to make sure that we thanked the people that helped out, volunteered, attended. When Chad and I started this 4 years ago, we had maybe 10 cars and 200 kids, and we thought we were doing really well then. So it's exploded, it's grown, we're so excited. So I want to thank Wheat Ridge 2020, the Ridge at 38th, the city, of course, our committee, which is Mara Owen, Janice Hoppy, and we also picked up Tim Berlin from the Gazette this year, and he was a huge asset to have supplied things for our haunted house, which is always a hit. We also had the Wheat Ridge Fire and Police Department showed up, and they've been supportive since the beginning. I'd also like to thank a few of the businesses. So I have Right Coast Pizza, Quality Auto, and Wheat Ridge Lanes, which supplied kind of a drop-off spot for candy, so we appreciated that. Also, we had the Wheat Ridge Lanes sponsored the after party by providing some free bowling. We thank the Neighborhood Gazette for promoting the event in their October issue. A1 Rentals for donating the use of their canopies and tables. And I'd also like to thank the Wheat Ridge Senate kids who helped out with, we had carnival games this year, and so we had the kids come out and help with that. We also had the Wheat Ridge Pom and Cheer teams, and the Poms helped us. They kicked off the event with the Thriller dance along with the cheers. The cheerleaders did the haunted house. They helped put it together, and they also ran that. And the line for that went forever, the whole event, and there were lots of screams, and kids had lots of fun with that. Also, who am I forgetting? We had some extra people show up early to help. Chad Harr, Nathan Hoppy, Guy, and I do not know how to pronounce his name, and I don't want to butcher it, so Guy, Nami, Ach. And Tim Berlin showed up early. And then I'd also like to thank Nathan Hoppy and Janice Hoppy for cutting out the pumpkins that we use with the businesses to help promote the event. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody. And I'd like to thank some of our city officials who've also kind of been with us since the beginning. So I saw Zachary Urban, thank you for supporting. Joyce Day, I saw Tracy Langworthy. I understand Patrick showed up at some point, and I was busy, I didn't get to see that. But I want to thank everybody for coming to the event. I'm just excited that this event is for the kids. So I appreciate it, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you. our next speaker, and I failed to remind, although she didn't go over, we do try to keep it to 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I'll keep it.
Oh, no problem.
My name's Mary Fedley, and I live at 3465 Estes Street. And I actually wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I thought, I really need to address the 2A and 2B issues. The 2A is in regard to the 1% tax, 2B is the 38th Avenue corridor. And the 2A, I like to look at Wheat Ridge as this big old house. It's got great bones, it's got a great foundation, it's got fantastic families, community spirit. It's just a wonderful city. And I think a lot of people forget that Wheat Ridge, it's older. It needs some help. It needs the money in order to get better. So I am encouraging everyone to think of it in that respect as improving our city. And a lot of people don't realize that when a new person comes into the city, they come into our block and they instantly start replacing the windows and replacing the trees and replacing everything. And pretty soon their house becomes the prettiest house on the block. And the rest of us are saying, why didn't we do that? And, and now I'm starting to notice that some of the people that have been in there 30 and 40 years are starting to rip out their kitchens. They're starting to do all kinds of major home improvements. And, I look at it as they're putting a lot of love into their homes. I think we need to put a lot of love into the city of Wheat Ridge. We need to vote yes on 2A. And as far as the 38th Avenue corridor is concerned, we couldn't ask for anything better. I have to admit, I had a little sticker shock when I saw that 9.3 million, but at the same time, when you look at it, it's all inclusive. You're including the pipe work, the electrical, everything within that entire bid. Whereas a lot of cities, they'll do a facade on something and then they come back 3 years later and rip up the road because, oh, lo and behold, they forgot to tell you about the plumbing. Well, I think that's wonderful that this city has decided to let everybody know up front what this is going to cost. And, I really encourage everyone to put a little love back into the city of Wheat Ridge and vote yes on 2A and 2B. We need it. It's been long overdue. Please vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. No. Tim, behave yourself.
Sorry, I just have the same question as last week again. So there's issues about marijuana and
Wait, would you give,
there's issues about the moratorium, and then there's issues of just marijuana and other things. Do you want it all to wait until the public hearing, or just anything on the moratorium?
well, if you can wait, that way we can keep all the marijuana stuff together.
Okay,
That,
I'm just clarifying for anybody that's here because
Right.
there are both.
all right.
Okay, thank you. Whoops.
Yeah, he's going to.
My name's Monica Duran. I'm at 2980 Upham Street. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My family and I have been Wheat Ridge residents for 20 years. We are a strong community, and I'm proud to be part of its past and look forward to its future. I'm asking for you to vote no on 2B. $9.3 million for 8 blocks on 38th Avenue is fiscally irresponsible. The road diet has been too few voices with too many questions. Let's support a design that represents all of its citizens and businesses on 38th. Please remember to vote and vote no on 2B. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have our next speaker ready, since we have so many tonight?
Would it be, we have a Destination Imagination team, and they're doing a service challenge. The topic is marijuana, but they just wanted to introduce themselves. Should they wait until we're discussing the agenda for marijuana?
Let's let them go ahead, since it sounds like it's,
It's more of an introduction, so I'll explain to you what
Okay.
we're doing. It would be very quickly.
remember, it's 3 minutes.
Okay. My name is Robin Chalker, and I'm a Wheat Ridge resident, Chalker. I live at 12,000 West 29th Place in Wheat Ridge, and I'm a Destination Imagination coach for Prospect Valley. I have 3 kids in Prospect Valley. Destination Imagination is otherwise known as DI, is a nonprofit, volunteer-led organization. and its purpose is to inspire and equip students to become the next generation of innovators and leaders. Approximately 200,000 youth participate globally each year. Teams basically have a choice to decide which challenge they want to work on, and it's solely the kids' choice. Adults cannot intervene in any way or they'll be disqualified, and that starts in the beginning of picking the topic and the challenge. To give you an example, various types of challenges include science, technology, fine arts, math, engineering, and a service learning challenge. Last year, my team picked the structural challenge. They were amazing, but it took them 2 months to decide as a team what challenge they all would agree on, 7 kids together to decide. This year, they unanimously chose to do the service learning challenge, to my surprise. And for this challenge, the team must address a real community need and implement a project to address this need. This team decided to address the issue of marijuana in our community, specifically edibles, and to educate children on the dangers of edibles as well as other adults. They named their group the Pot Stoppers, and they are here to introduce themselves to you. They would like to spend till December 1st researching, interviewing people, getting some more facts so they can present them to you. But today they just wanted to introduce themselves. So here are the next leaders of our generation.
Hi, I'm Jack Cudahy, C-U-D-A-H-Y. I live at 155 South Garland Street. We are the Pot Stoppers, and we are researching the marijuana issue. We want to educate the youth about the dangers of marijuana and what it does to you. We would like to come back on December 1st to speak about our further research. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emily Chalker, Chalker, and I'm a resident of Wheat Ridge. I live at 12,000 West 29th Place, Wheat Ridge, Colorado. I'm here today to tell you all how I feel as a kid with marijuana being so close to me and my home. I don't feel as safe as I used to in my community, Colorado, and truly this scares me. This is why we will be coming back on December 1st to share our research with you all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matthew Chalker, Chalker. I am on a DI team called the Pot Stoppers. One of our focuses is the edibles and teaching kids that it's easy to confuse pot candy and real candy, and it can cause kids to go to the hospital. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello, my name is Sonia Morin, M-O-R-I-N. I live at 3550 Miller Court, Wheat Ridge, Colorado. On the behalf of my team, I would like to say that we really appreciate you giving up your time today to listen to us. We will be back on December 1st with all our research done and our additional name CAP, Kids Against Pot. Thank you again from the Pot Stoppers.
Thanks to all of you. Next speaker. Is there another speaker lined up so that we can move right along?
My name's John Clark, 4665 Swadley Street here in Wheat Ridge. Didn't quite get 3 minutes together, so I'd filled in a couple things, and I really appreciate Jill Philman coming down and tell us the great news from not only Jeffco schools, but especially Wheat Ridge. And it really sounds like the new board and superintendent have come down and done a great job over there. So thanks for that news, and thank you, Jeff Gomez, for coming in. We just left Everett. We'll be back in 2 more years. They're doing a great job over there. I got nothing but great things to say about that school. So now on with 2A and 2B, and this will be the last chance I get before the election to speak against 2A and 2B. And so I spent a few hours last Monday right here in the same chamber at the study session, and I wish there was this many people at that study session, because the entire meeting was about the budget, the roughly $40 million budget. Throughout the evening, I heard of all the planned expenditures for the year, and how the expenditures were just under $1 million more than the expected revenue. And everybody here had a few different ideas on what to cut, where to cut, and whether we could go into the reserves. The only thing I did not hear about was the $9.3 million for the 38th Avenue vision. Never brought it up, never discussed it, never mentioned. So I'm left to assume one of two things. Either the city has given up on 2B passing and they figure they won't need the $9.3 million, because you remember, it's got to be spent, it's got to be started within about 7 months of the election, and I'm sure that the whole thing would have to be paid for within a couple years. Or, excuse me, the city has figured if 2B does pass, then 2A will also pass, and they will have the $9.3 million to pay for this vision project, since 2A allows expenditures on economic development projects, just like it says verbatim on the ballot. So if you read your ballot, it says it in there. So let's be honest, if the city doesn't have the $9.3 million, or at least part of it in the budget, where's that money coming from to narrow 38th Avenue? We're not even having that conversation of where the money's coming from. I hear all the time how numerous councils over many, many years have worked on this vision, and yet no one ever thought about the money or how to pay for it. It's odd. I also hear how 38th Avenue is booming, taking off, 30 plus new businesses, tax revenue skyrocketing, events happening all the time, trunk or treat. And this is great because it actually looks like the citizens and the businesses of Wheat Ridge have figured out how to make a beautiful, vibrant Main Street on 38th without the government dumping or wasting $9.3 million tax dollars on concrete or asphalt. So, I have to ask you one more time before the election, please stop spending the money. Tax, borrow, and spend.
Your time is up, as you could tell.
My thing just went yellow. Thank you. Please vote no on 2A and 2B.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Guy Namiash, Nahmiach. I live at 3650 Ward Road right here in Wheat Ridge. And I'm here to talk to you about not one, two, three things in 3 minutes, so let's get to it. 2B is not about sidewalks. It's not about 8 blocks. It's about a lifestyle. It represents gathering of people and a way of life that has become the norm or what thriving cities strive for. That's what it's about. It's not sidewalks. Immigrants didn't pull up to Ellis Island because there was a Statue of Liberty. It was for America and our way of life. Families move to Wheat Ridge for that quality of life that allows them to get out of that metal box on 4 wheels, push a stroller down the street, hold hands with their loved ones. It's not about sidewalks. It's about living. This November, make it 2B yes. Now, I am a PTA president at Everett. And I can tell you how ashamed I am about our school system bureaucracy and how they've declined to have our Healthy Kids group not be able to come into our schools and share healthy information about our kids. Because, especially about our edible marijuana, our principals tell us it's our number one concern, and our PTAs are saying, no, it's too political. Yet they're out there on Wadsworth with picketing. This is not about contracts. This is about saving lives. Every PTA president, I challenge every PTA president to invite this group in and talk about the dangers of edibles. Finally, being a realtor also, I'm hoping that we can be a bit friendlier to our builders and investors in Wheat Ridge. Our code enforcers and building inspectors don't report up to the same office, sometimes causing a level of frustrations for those not familiar with how our city works. I'm asking that we modify our advisory committee to be made of builders, city officials, realtors, contractors, and investors. This board would be able to address issues and make suggestions to City Council on how to better communicate and manage the growth that we are experiencing. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have additional speakers? Apparently not. Please feel free, even though you haven't signed up. I will. We're going to go ahead with our meeting, and please, before we officially start, would you turn off any cell phones or put them to silence? Are there any changes in tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we will proceed forward with Council Bill number 1, number 1 item, Council Bill 14-2014. Jenna Wooden?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to introduce Council Bill number 14-2014, an ordinance imposing a temporary moratorium on the submission, acceptance, processing, and approval of applications and requests for a permit, license, land use approval, or other approval for any medical marijuana establishment or retail marijuana establishment. At issue, a temporary moratorium on the submission, acceptance, processing, and approval of applications related to marijuana businesses, both medical and retail, is currently in place in the city. The current moratorium was adopted to maintain the status quo of current marijuana-related businesses within the city while the City Council reviews, evaluates, and amends, if desired, the city's regulations concerning marijuana-related businesses. The City Council is in the midst of conducting this review and evaluation, which is unlikely to conclude prior to the expiration of the current moratorium on November 17, 2014. This ordinance adopts a 120-day moratorium that commences simultaneously with the expiration of the current moratorium.
I'd like to open the public meeting on this.
Madam Mayor, it's a public hearing, and I should say that the summary covers the history. Everyone is intimately familiar with where we are in this moratorium process. So unless the council has questions, I think you just commence with the public hearing. Questions for staff, you can commence with the public hearing. We'll get you the sign-up sheet that's back there. And I do understand that about half the people that signed the Citizens' Right to Speak sheet really meant to testify on item number 1. Of course, they're invited to speak at any time.
Thank you. I do need an ordinance number on this.
This will be ordinance number 1560.
Okay. Do I have someone that wishes, I have a sheet coming here. Limp. Okay. Now, is there someone that is there someone, member of the public, that wishes to come forward and speak at this time? Wait, who is this guy? Oh, he's going to speak, okay.
Good evening. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to the citizens for attending this important meeting. My name is Kara Jacob, J-A-K-A-B. I live at 9800 34th Drive. My husband and I have lived in Wheat Ridge for 19 years. We have 4 children. 3 attend Prospect Valley Elementary, where I am the PTA president and have been for 2 years, and 1 attends Wheat Ridge High School. When we first moved to Colorado, we rented the first floor of the second oldest house in Wheat Ridge. It was on 36th and Teller. Then we bought our first home on 44th and Carr. We lived there for 13 years, and we grew to be a family of 6. Now our current address is 34th and Kipling. Why Wheat Ridge? Why do we stay in Wheat Ridge when we bought our first home? Why stay in Wheat Ridge when we grew to a family of 6 and grew out of our first home? Because Wheat Ridge has a beautiful small-town character. Wheat Ridge is a sweet suburban community. It is the Carnation City. It is a place to be proud to call home. Tonight, I'd like to address capping the medical marijuana centers to 5 and the manufacturers to 3. Wheat Ridge has 1 library, 1 hospital, 12 elementary schools, 3 junior highs, 1 high school, 2 Christian schools, Beth Eden and Bethlehem Lutheran. There's 31,000 residents in Wheat Ridge. We don't need marijuana stores and manufacturers to outnumber our libraries and to outnumber our grocery stores. It has been said that the use of marijuana amongst teenagers is a parenting issue. I agree, but the responsibility doesn't stop there. The responsibility also lies in the hands of our community, and it lies in the leadership of Wheat Ridge. Children and teenagers aren't the leaders of tomorrow, they are the leaders of today. Children and teenagers, it is our job to equip them, to inspire them, to be the leaders not just of tomorrow, but of today. Our job is to protect them and to protect them from distractions. More medical marijuana and marijuana in our community is a distraction to our teenagers and our children. 5 medical marijuana stores is plenty of locations to address the needs of those who have medical conditions. Wheat Ridge has so much to be proud of. We have strong school, strong families, strong community. Wheat Ridge is known for so many wonderful things. I do not think we want to be known for more marijuana shops. It is the Carnation City. It is not the Weed City. It is Wheat Ridge, not Weed Ridge. Let's keep our town safe and secure and keep our children and teenagers inspiring today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She had that time, didn't she, quite well? Okay. May I remind the people who are here that this is a business meeting. We would respect that if you would keep your applause, no applause. We really would appreciate that. And sir, your name, please?
Kevin Cheney, ma'am. Good evening, members of the council. My name is Kevin Cheney. I work at the law firm Guard & Bond in Boulder, and we represent Bobak Bezadzada, who is the owner of the property on 38th that has caused a lot of this marijuana problem. Bobak is a great individual. He's a pharmacist, he's a professional, and he's a member of the community. He purchased this property based on what this city had told him, based on what the city's rules were at the time. He has followed every letter, he has dotted every I, and invested over $650,000 buying a property meeting the standards of this city, only to have the rules of the game changed after he had done everything the city had asked. Bobak first came to our offices back in February of 2014 looking to get into the marijuana business. We identified Wheat Ridge as a possible city and began looking for a location. We called planning and development so often that I began to have the number memorized, looking for a suitable location. At the time and currently you had a 3/4 of a mile buffer. That's the largest buffer I've ever seen for a city. It was an effective regulation, and it was one that we went about going to find a property. We finally found the property after about 12 attempts, and the city staff advised us that this one met all the requirements for a marijuana business. And on May 13th, Bobak and his business partners met with the city staff and discussed the general plan. They informed them, they set up a pre-application meeting on June 5th where we met with 5 members of city staff and discussed the options for the property. City staff made clear that they wanted the gas station gone, that was the best way to move forward, and that in doing so, we would avoid a special use review and that we could have administrative approval. Based on that advice from city staff, Bobak purchased the building, spending over $650,000 with the idea that he could open a marijuana business. Since that time, city staff exchanged emails with our office and with Bobak all the way into August 1st, where city staff was advised and discussed the possibility of purchasing even more land in that area to complete the property as envisioned. 17 days later, this council changed the rules and passed a moratorium, basically stopping Bobak's dream of owning a dispensary at this location after he had done everything that the city had asked. Now, after this moratorium was in place, Bobak still was willing to compromise. Issues were brought up about how tall the building would be, so Bobak offered to build a basement and to build it below the ground. He heard testimony about that there were children and they were concerned about the school district. There was never going to be any sign flippers. There was never going to be anything less than a professional shop. And the fact of the matter is that Bobak has been willing to compromise on any of this. Today, we're not asking you to vote no against this moratorium. Take the time to study the issue, but keep an open mind, because basic fairness dictates that if a person plays by the rules and does everything that this city asked, including removing a gas station he didn't want to remove, that he should be allowed the opportunity to reach a compromise. Thank you.
Thank you. I am trying to hold everybody to 3 minutes. Thank you, sir. Just let you be aware of it. Go ahead, please, your name and address. Spell your last name.
I'm Elaine Morin, M-O-R-I-N. It's 3550 Miller Court. So while I did not vote to legalize marijuana sales in Colorado, I certainly was a moderate on the issue because I could appreciate the arguments for it. Well, now I can say no more. because I've had some wake-up calls to the realities. See, I was completely naive. I never, ever imagined the magnitude and impact that a powerful national marijuana industry could have. I never dreamed that a 3-story pot superstore could be built at the bottom of our street, where the only thing surrounding it are residential homes. I never dreamed that the neighboring cities to Wheat Ridge would prohibit sales, and we'd become the supplier for the West, not just for Wheat Ridge. I used to think of a marijuana as a rolled-up joint, not as brownies, cookies, and candies, all the treats my kids love. So I ask, how do the benefits of selling marijuana come to us? How do they outweigh the negatives? If it's not about increased tax revenue, then what is it? Because I only see the negatives. I expect property values to decline. I mean, what family would choose our neighborhood with a pot shop around the corner? And won't these kinds of stores repel other good community-friendly businesses from choosing Wheat Ridge? I mean, why spend millions on 2B then? And what else are we limiting? New daycares, preschools, treatment centers? I mean, these are the real needs of our community. How are we safer? And what problems will we be attracting to Wheat Ridge? I worry for families with teens. My husband and I are diligent, attentive parents, and maybe our kids won't suffer, but their friends might. This is a community issue. Selling marijuana in Wheat Ridge is no secret. I was out of town a couple weeks ago. When I told a stranger where I lived, he said, so you're a Wheat Ridge farmer. Do you sell the stuff or just grow it? I mean, I was absolutely shocked and grieved that the city I love more than any place else is already developing a reputation as a pot city. I mean, I was miles from home when that was said. I've been proud to be a Wheat Ridge farmer. I graduated in '80. So I want to stay proud. Please support a ban on all new marijuana stores and no expansion of existing ones. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
My name is Becky Grant, and I live at 3948 Lee Circle in Wheat Ridge. I'm also known as Gigi by my 4 beautiful grandchildren, 2 of whom live in Wheat Ridge. At last month's city council meeting, I heard the extreme frustration in the comments made by the owner of Kettleson Campers, whose business that employs over 70 people is threatened by the rash of break-ins that has cost his company over $100,000 in recent months. He has been waiting over 7 months for the council to approve his request to electrify the fence surrounding his business. The reason given for the delay in his business's...
Becky, I'm sorry, this is, item number 1 is the marijuana.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Okay. The reason given for the delay is his business's close proximity to a school. The council expressed fear that a child might stick his hand through the outer fence and touch the electrified fence. If an unsupervised child were to touch the electric fence, yes, he would get shocked, and yes, it would hurt. While no one wants to see harm come to a child, that child would not die from touching that fence. He would not suffer permanent brain alteration or damage, and I can guarantee you he would only touch it once. Thus, there is no possibility that that child would become addicted to touching electric fences. Yet, in just a few months more than Kettleson's has been waiting for approval to electrify their fence, our city council has allowed 5 marijuana establishments to pop up across our once fair city. Even Mr. Elliott, our area's main marijuana pimp, entrepreneur, has admitted that children have died from ingesting marijuana. Several studies from respected universities and other research organizations across our country and beyond have documented the significant negative impact that marijuana use has on the developing brain. And from the high percentage of marijuana users who use on a daily basis, addiction is a distinct reality. I urge you to quit grandstanding about wanting to protect our children and actually do something about it by making the moratorium on new marijuana facilities permanent. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's kind of hold it to, let's be respectable as well, please, to all the others that are here. Next speaker, please.
Council, my name is Roger Morn, and I live at 3550 Miller Court. First, I'd like to thank my District 3 representatives, Councilman Fitzgerald and Pond, for their thoughtful responses to my many inquiries on this matter. I would like to question the proposed ordinances that limit grow operations to 5,000 square feet for each of the 5 marijuana stores. I presume that if the ordinance allows potentially 25,000 square feet of grow operations, that is what the city will eventually have. I use as my references the U.S. Census, a report for the Colorado Department of Revenue titled Market Size and Demand for Marijuana in Colorado, and a working paper from the RAND Corporation titled Estimated Cost of Production for Legalized Cannabis. Sparing a lot of math and applying statistics from the report for the Colorado Department of Revenue, Wheat Ridge would have approximately 4,300 adult marijuana users with a total demand of about 1,700 pounds of marijuana per year. The RAND working paper estimates that a greenhouse will produce 0.2 pounds of marijuana per square foot per year. Using these figures, 25,000 square feet of grow operations will generate 5,000 pounds of marijuana annually. If the Wheat Ridge adult need is only 1,700 pounds per year, then 5,000 pounds represents about 200% more than our adult community needs. Both the Department of Revenue and RAND reports cite a lot of uncertainties that could raise or lower this calculation, but 200% excess seems a fair place to start for continued discussion. And so I ask, what need does Wheat Ridge have for 200% production excess of marijuana? I request that if council is going to regulate grow operations for adult Wheat Ridge use, for adult Wheat Ridge need, to cap growing operations for the city to about 8,500 square feet. One other set of statistics caught my attention. Those who use marijuana 21 to 31 times per month make up 30% of the population, but require 87% of the demand. Said another way, if the statistics hold for Wheat Ridge, approximately 1,300 Wheat Ridge citizens use marijuana most every day and demand nearly 90% of Wheat Ridge's marijuana market. Council, I think our city should be concerned with the legitimate health and welfare of all of our citizens. It's in our Vision 2025. And marijuana is not without significant side effects and other health concerns, especially for heavy users. I'm also concerned about the freedom of a market that depends so much on chemically dependent users. I ask council to also consider ordinances that will help with all substance abuse addictions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Okay. Let me know if you can't hear me. My name is Denise Klinger. I live at 11735 West 38th Avenue, Wheat Ridge. I'm a longtime Wheat Ridge resident. I almost would like to find out where the speaker who said that her house was the second oldest in Wheat Ridge, I'd like to check with her on my house and see how that would be. Actually, I am here to ask for clarification on a couple of the items that were posted. The first one would be a definition on item number 3, and this was taken from, it's too small to see, but I took it off the internet. And it reads, add 1,000 feet separation from Wheat Ridge Parks and recreation facilities for medical, where marijuana centers and retail marijuana stores grow operations. Or I guess that was the second one on number 4. My question is, you have medical marijuana centers, that's one thing. Retail marijuana stores, is that separate from a grow operation? Can you have 2 separate ones, or can the
Denise-
retail be the same?
Denise, actually, this tonight, this public hearing is about the moratorium, leading to a discussion, our study session discussion, which will be December 1st. I believe it's the 1st, isn't it? And at which time you will hear that type of thing viewed and aired and clarifications made. So, do you have further questions, or?
Well, my other question was, why was the Wheat Ridge Recreation Facility being, I'm trying to find it on here. Oh, it was on another sheet. In very tiny print. Why the city pointed out that the Wheat Ridge Recreation Center, because of the daycare center, was also exempt, I believe, on this 1,000 foot, and why a daycare center wasn't exempt.
Right.
Why just the singling out of the Wheat Ridge Rec Center?
So my response is stay tuned, because there is more information as we discuss it.
Well, I do think that Wheat Ridge is a great family place. Mentioned other people hearing about marijuana. I visit Texas quite frequently, and the first question I always get is, what is going on? Why? And what are you doing about it? I would like to see Wheat Ridge stay a family place and not have people coming in to buy the excess marijuana or any marijuana. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilman. I'm Babak Bezadzadeh. I'm the owner of 38 and Miller property.
The property owner?
Babak, B-A-B-A-K. If you reverse it, it becomes kebab. That's how I feel after the moratorium. B-A-B-A-K. Last name is Behzadzadeh, B-E-H-Z-A-D-Z-A-D-E-H. I'm a registered pharmacist, and I do also have an electronic health record consulting firm. So I dispense your Percocets, Percodans, blood pressure medications, antibiotics to your children. I actually designed the systems across the country for major hospitals with drug adverse reactions. Marinol, another medication like Percocet, which is a controlled substance, is actually marijuana concentrate, synthetically driven, and it's FDA approved since 1985. We met, I just wanted to tell you that because we do I've dealt with federal and state laws. No Percocet or Percodan or morphine has ever left my pharmacy to the children or anyone else, or any other pharmacy that I know of. We met with the city June 5th. We made an appointment. We met with Meredith Record, I hope I pronounced that properly, senior planner, Lauren McCulloch, planner 2, Wade Sanner, planner 1, David Brosman, development review engineer, Mark Wetzberg, engineering project supervisor. We met with them several times. We met there, and we specifically said, if we purchase this building, will you give us the permission? It was C1 zoning. It was zoned properly. They said, sure. If you remove the gas station, existing business, if you remove the gas station, we will give you administrative decision. I didn't know what administrative decision was, so I asked. They said, we will not have a public meeting. We will give you that. We purchased the building. We removed. That's the C1 zoning. That was within the parameters of what they said. I mean, we checked every single one of those. It was not something that we did not do. So we followed through with that. And then, by the time we were about to turn in our application, becomes the moratorium. I will be happy to meet with every single citizen that has concern. We actually met, we spoke with several of the city people, mentioned that if it's the noise, if it's the smell, if it's the size of the building, if the retail be facing 38, we even decided we face it towards the gulch, so public will not see it. There's not going to be balloons, there's not going to be flashing signs, no green crosses. It was going to be we envisioned just a very professional building. Setbacks about 17 feet, planting trees, creating walkway, including the bicycle areas as the city would. I hired a city engineer from Kansas who speaks the language of
Sir,
the
your
city.
time is up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate. I hope you.
Certainly. Genevieve?
Where do you live?
Inglewood.
Let's, please. Now, we do have a policeman in the room, and if we need to, we can ask you to leave. But we appreciate the silence so that we can make an intelligent decision. This is a business meeting. Please continue. Next speaker.
Rhonda Burrows, 3565 Miller Street, class of 74, Wheat Ridge High School. Student taught at Jefferson. I'm a retired high school vocational marketing teacher.
And I'd like to hear your name again.
Rhonda Burrows.
Okay, thank you.
City Council helps to set the timbre and tone for the community. In regards to the marijuana business, you have let us down. We want the image of Wheat Ridge to be perceived as a wholesome place to raise kids, not a mecca for constitutional tax-paying adult businesses. I notice there's not a plethora of other adult businesses in the form of strip clubs or adult bookstores. For the first time in Wheat Ridge history, and because of ease of access, 4 little kids between the ages of 5 and 11 are alleged felons. It is unacceptable when persons in a position of authority and trust say it's up to the parents. You have effectively given permission to 4 sets of inept, immature, inexperienced, selfish people to introduce drugs to 246 other students, regardless of criminal code, drug policy of the school district, and the other 492 parents. Next, 1,000-foot buffer zone does not protect 3 little kids whose bedroom window is 20 feet away from the property line, or the other 10 children who live within 600 feet, or the children on Lee, Lewis, Miller Court, Moore, Owens, or the 54 kids that I counted passing on the way to Everett and Wheat Ridge at 6:30 in the morning, or the kids who drive themselves to Wheat Ridge. While the corner did have a gas station, it does not make it an industrial area any more than the horse boarding property across the street makes it a horse ranch. Next, grow operations vent the air twice a day. I understand it smells like skunk weed. Their expensive alarm systems can't change that, and when they took the gas tanks out, the smell of gas was very strong, but we knew it was temporary. The ongoing smell will rise in the summer, but sink with the cold air in the winter to permeate Cambridge Park and the rec center, which will become the former jewel of Wheat Ridge. Next, the pro-pot guy twists perceptions and prevaricates the truth. He asks, isn't it better to tax the drug than have it on the black market? Channel 7 did a report on how the black market and local drug dealers are alive and well because enough people don't want to pay for licensed marijuana. The Denver Post did an article on how cartels are moving into Colorado because their expenses are less. And even with their alarms, it falls to local police to protect their merchandise, even when it's clandestinely shipped across state lines, and I object to that use of our police force. Next, the pro-pot guy says the war on drugs has failed. Compared to what? The anti-marijuana guy pointed out most voters didn't want their kids in jail for stupid decisions. They never bargained for this. One country that wasn't allowed a war on drugs was China. In 1840, Great Britain, for purported purposes of increased trade and revenue, required the sale of opium against the wishes of the government. Graft and corruption became rampant. Took 150 years, communism, and the execution of public officials to straighten it out. Last week, the International Monetary Fund announced China was the #1 economy in the world, overtaking the U.S. Next, when 2 city councilmen say loud enough to be heard, but not loud enough to draw attention to themselves, that they would like to see the sale of existing businesses be allowed, it makes me think something fishy is going on.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Okay.
Do we have a light that goes off that they can see? I'm not sure what that was. Next speaker, please. Right.
But that's okay. I don't have to take much time. I've already spoken a couple times.
Can we get your name and?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Patty Lazari,
Do you need me to spell it again?
Yes, please.
Lazzzari, and I live at 4175 Garland Street. That's here in Wheat Ridge. I've been trying to, 3 minutes is a very little bit of time for everybody. I know that it's hard for you, and I really just want to, first off, thank you for extending the moratorium, because there's so much information that you have to study, and there's a lot of time that you're risking and sacrificing for the benefit of making a good choice. And so I'm putting my trust in you, which is rare. I don't always trust people of authority issues, but I have this little packet. When I first, I never voted for the marijuana thing either, although I feel that for medical use it's important to have. But I looked up, I didn't like some of the things that were going on, and so I looked it up online, this SAM, Smart Approaches to Marijuana. And as I read it, I was just surprised, totally surprised, appalled almost. But I wanted to give you each a copy so that you, while you have this extension of time to study it, this is a really excellent brief. I mean, there's like 2.5 pages that are basic, facts, and another 2.5 pages that is all resources from scientists, universities, etc. So I think it's a very useful book. I know someone in our group invented it. I don't even know who, but I want to give this to you, and is that okay?
Yeah, please give it to the clerk, and she'll pass them down.
I hope you all get one of them. And I need to apologize because my husband was in a rush and trying to help me, so the page numbers are a little messed up. So I tried to, I know, gotta love husbands, right? You kind of have to look at the numbers on the bottom of the page because I tried to get it reorganized so that it's correct for you. Okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Fran Langdon, Langdon, and I live at 3570 Miller Street. And I've come here tonight to again remind you to please do your due diligence as you consider the future of marijuana in Wheat Ridge. You can barely open a newspaper or listen to the radio without hearing some new finding about the dangers of marijuana. And Amendment 64 said that marijuana was legal. It did not say that every city had to have it. Every city can make up their own mind about it, and I think it's time we look at that part of the amendment. I'll be honest when I tell you I'm disappointed when I hear city leaders say things like, the business owners just want to be good neighbors, or they're entrepreneurs. We can't limit the new marijuana businesses because we don't want to limit competition, or we used our community needs to calculate the number of pot shops to allow in Wheat Ridge. Well, there are a few issues that I want to draw your attention to. A few weeks ago, we were told that there was an issue about the people with the sign spinners on Kipling and Ward Road. And someone said, well, they just wanted to be good neighbors, so when we pointed it out to them, they took the signs down. Well, in reality, the Colorado Department of Revenue rules on marijuana said that they are not supposed to be, it's against the law to have handheld signs visible from the street or the parks. So in reality, these people were not good neighbors because they took the sign down. Good neighbors would never put the sign up. Bad neighbors put up signs and then wait until they're caught to take them down. I wonder how we decided the needs of our city. Someone probably should explain, how do we decide? Is 5 too many? 0's not enough? What do we mean by competition? Are we looking for low pricing, better selection, convenient parking? What does that mean? I'm very concerned tonight when I hear that a pharmacist is involved in trying to promote this business. I think we owe it to our city fathers to make sure Wheat Ridge is not promoted as the best place to get drugs. Finally, there was an article in yesterday's paper, if you happen to see it in the Denver Post. It's very alarming to the fact that the manufacturers of MIPS are now buying bulk candy at places like Costco, and then they're spraying hash oil on it, repackaging it, and selling it as marijuana-infused products. The U.S. House of Representatives, or our Colorado House of Representatives, proposed a law to make that illegal, and they were told, well, the argument is you can't say the candy was just promoted to children. So in fact, it's a parent's job to make sure the MIPS don't get into the hands of children. Well, I did a little research and I found that rats really like Rice Krispie treats. So I wondered if I took Rice Krispie treats, sprayed them with rat poisoning, repackaged them, and sold them on the market, that and just told parents, well, it's your responsibility to make sure the kids don't eat the rat poison ones instead of the ones in the pantry, I bet you wouldn't think I was an entrepreneur. So I ask you, consider the new information, and please, think about Wheat Ridge. We're proud to be farmers, the former Carnation capital. Let's not succumb to pot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Steve Miller at 3595 Miller Street. I'll probably be the shortest speaker you have this evening, and that I just want to say that as a resident on the street, 4 houses up, I support the moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Hello, Council and Mayor. My name is Jennifer Shepard. I live at 7 Twilight Drive, SHEPHERD, and I did not sign up. So if I may speak, great. If not, I respect that as well. I just had some thoughts as I was sitting in the audience. And in Wheat Ridge, we're setting up the perfect recipe for drug use, not just for our kids, but for all of our community. We have increased availability of the product. We have increased social acceptance by supporting and promoting the businesses, and we have decreased perception of harm. Those 3 together lead to increased drug use, not just of our youth, but of our community in general. I was just recently looking at some of the Facebook pages of our local Wheat Ridge businesses, and again, pretty appalling. The Wheat Ridge pages anybody can access and look at, and I encourage you to all look at them. Some of the posts, they talk about, come on over for wake and bake. And some of them talked about the benefits of marijuana, which tend to refute a lot of the studies that the Departments of Public Health have put out. Also, some of their photos say stoners welcome. So again, back to our kids have access to this. They can see this. This is what's being promoted by our Wheat Ridge marijuana industries. So again, I so am grateful for this conversation and for this discussion. Thank you so much for listening to our concerns and continuing to have dialogue amongst yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that the, oh, nope, we got one more.
My name is Jennifer Yates. I live at 3700 Miller Street. First of all, I'd like to say that I would like to see a ban on all future marijuana facilities, but I do appreciate your willingness to take steps to limit the size and the number of any additional facilities. I do believe there should be a 1,000-foot separation requirement for all places where children gather, and that this should be measured in a straight line method. Via pedestrian walking path is too subjective, and we need solid rules that cannot be argued as time goes on. Parks pose a unique problem. Last Monday night, I drove by Paramount Park at about 6:30. There were 4 people sitting at the table, south side of 27th and just west of critical therapy. And a girl bent over the table, clearly took a hit off a bong, looked up, and blew the smoke in the air as I was driving by. I understand some people will always do things like this, but positioning next to parks and residential areas makes this type of activity very convenient. I see people all the time in the parking lot of the park and then walk across the street. In-home daycares, I think, should be left on the map for a year after they close. This would hopefully stop big marijuana money from buying them out so that they can open a shop where it's convenient for them. Additional signing restrictions for marijuana facilities are not needed. The problem is enforcement. Colorado law already states that they cannot have portable handheld signs. The only exception is a fixed sign that exists solely for the purpose of identifying the location. How are we going to enforce these rules and regulations? If we're waiting for Colorado to do it, it's not going to happen anytime soon. It took 2 months that I know of to get the balloons and the flags down from in front of critical therapy. One has to ask the question, if they're not following the rules for signage, what other rules are they not following? I was so trying to drop the 38th and Miller thing, but clearly I cannot. There are no amount of trees or walkways that will make it okay for my children to have to walk past it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other speakers? Okay, let's proceed with the meeting then. I didn't ask, are there any staff reports on the moratorium at all?
No staff reports
not at all.
You could probably close the public hearing if we've
Yes, I'm
heard from
going to
everyone.
close the public hearing. And then we're going to ask for a motion.
Is a motion in order? I move to approve Council Bill number 14-2014, an ordinance imposing a temporary moratorium on the submission, acceptance, processing, and approval of applications and requests for a permit, license, land use approval, or other approval for any medical marijuana establishment or retail marijuana establishment on second reading, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. DiTullio. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, let's move on to item number 2. Ms. Davis, would you introduce?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution number 55-2014, a resolution determining that the parcel commonly referred to as a strip of land adjacent to 12525 West 32nd Avenue is blighted, as that term is defined at CRS 31-25-105.5, parentheses 5A, and authorizing the Wheat Ridge Urban Renewal Authority to use eminent domain to acquire the parcel and to subsequently transfer it to a private party. The issue, U.S. retailers, the owners of the Applewood Shopping Center, would like to obtain a 5-foot strip of property totaling 775 square feet adjacent to the shopping center for future development. U.S. retailers have not been able to purchase or otherwise obtain the parcel due to their inability to identify the property owners. Renewal Wheat Ridge may obtain the property through its eminent domains powers as authorized by Colorado Revised Statute, with City Council approval following a public hearing. The council is asked to adopt a resolution authorizing Renewal Wheat Ridge to initiate eminent domain proceedings in order to obtain the parcel and then convey it to U.S. retailers, a private developer.
Once again, I'm opening a public meeting. Do we have any staff reports?
We don't have any staff report unless you have any questions for Mr. Dahl, who has helped with this process.
And we do have one here. Ms. Davis?
So one thing that I just would like to add to this and would direct people to the Renewal Wheat Ridge section because it kind of shows the picture. It's funny because you didn't really notice it until you see this picture in Applewood Shopping Center. But it's this little parcel of land that's kind of weeds and it's insignificant. It's not a parcel of land that you could ever put a property or a store on. It literally is like the 5 feet in width. So I encourage people either to go on the website and see that parcel because they had pictures of it, or in the urban renewal packets, or next time you're there, it's on the kind of the 32nd side. There's a parking lot, and then there's this little strip of land that just has a bunch of weedy trees.
Weedy trees, okay. Mr. Urban had raised his hand earlier.
With respect to the property owner, what steps has the city taken to identify the property owner in question? I know that the developer wasn't able to locate him, but what have we done to?
We looked through the title work as well. There are, I won't say any number of situations like this around the city, but when you have an inner ring suburb where there's been a lot of development, redevelopment, 2 surveys that didn't touch each other, and that happens more often than you like. I'm actually working on 2 other issues like that within the city. And what ends up happening is that potentially the assessor will claim there's no taxes being paid on that, goes out for taxes, and you have a third party who can really be a spoiler acquiring that strip. I believe this was a survey error, or at least surveys are not touching each other, and that happened a long time ago. That gets repeated by virtue of individual transactions of either side keep getting made with respect to those boundaries, and you end up with this strip. That's the case here. As far as we can tell, we've not been able to locate any property owners, and so the eminent domain is really the best way to clear. For quiet title, you need to be able to at least identify some people. You can't even do that. So it's one of the few times I think it's absolutely recommended for the city council, as it is required, to give permission to the Renewal Wheat Ridge to exercise the power.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Starker?
Mr. Goff or Mr. Dahl, is there any reason to believe that there would be any environmental contamination on or under this piece of property?
That's a good question. don't believe there is. Regency, or as their official name is, U.S. Retailers, would be responsible for doing any phase 1 and phase 2 on that property before they do development. And I believe a phase 1 has been done, so they did not identify any former gas stations or dry cleaners adjacent or on that site. So at this point, no.
All right, if there's no other questions, then maybe we could have a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 55-2014, a resolution determining that the parcel commonly referred to as the strip of land adjacent to 12525 West 32nd Avenue is blighted as the term is defined at CRS 31-25-105.5 parentheses 5A, and authorizing the Wheat Ridge Urban Renewal Authority to use eminent domain to acquire the parcel and to subsequently transfer it to a private party.
Let's have a second and then I'll
Second.
close it. Seconded by Mr. Fitzgerald. I'm closing the public meeting. Are there any questions before we vote? Seeing none, please go ahead and poll the council.
I have a question, Mr. Dahl. Is this a public hearing?
It's a public hearing taking place within a public meeting. The whole meeting's a public meeting.
And
Public hearing.
does someone need to declare that the speakers were telling the truth?
No, because it's not a quasi judicial matter. And that's the only
okay.
time we swear witnesses, or we need to swear witnesses.
Mr. And I'm not being glib, but the unknown owner of this property, not.
It's my advice to the city council as the city attorney that this is not a quasi judicial matter, and as a result, it's not necessary to swear any speakers.
Okay.
Okay, can we go ahead with the vote?
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Let's move on to item number 3. Mr. Urban, would you introduce, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council Bill number 15-2014, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property located at 6904-6940 West 48th Avenue from residential 3 to planned residential development, case number WZ-14-05, Somerset. The applicant is requesting approval of a zone change from residential 3 to planned residential development on property located at 6904 to 6940 West 48th Avenue. The proposed rezoning includes 0.19 acres. The purpose of the request is to allow the conversion of existing condominiums to townhomes. There is no new development being proposed at this time. The request will simply allow a change in the type of ownership.
Thank you. This is first reading. So I don't believe we have a staff report at this time, and we can go on to the motion.
I move to approve Council Bill 15-2014, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property located at 6904-6940 West 48th Avenue from residential 3 to planned residential development on first reading. Order it published. Public hearing set for Monday, December 8th, 2014 at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication. Is the motion in order?
Didn't you just move?
Second.
Second. Right. Seconded by Mr. Starker. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Moving on to item number 4. Ms. Wooden, would you please introduce?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a resolution number 56-2014, a resolution concerning the acquisition of private property for the purpose of constructing, installing, maintaining, and using public improvements for the Tabor Street multimodal improvements by either negotiation and voluntary purchase or, if necessary, through the utilization of the city's power of eminent domain and authorizing such action as necessary to accomplish said purposes. At issue, the City of Wheat Ridge, a Gold Line partner, was selected to receive federal funding for access and safety improvements to Tabor Street from the I-70 Frontage Road North to Ridge Road through the Regional Transportation District and the Denver Regional Council of Governments Transportation Improvement Program. The funding will facilitate a project to widen and improve Tabor Street to provide bike and pedestrian access to the commuter rail station at Ward Road.
The city is planning to improve Tabor Street via enhanced construction and restriping between the I-70 Frontage Road North and Ridge Road in preparation for the Gold Line crossing. The city has retained a right-of-way consultant since the roadway widening and accommodation of bicycle and pedestrian facilities requires both permanent and temporary acquisitions. The selected consultant will utilize the Federal Uniform Act to acquire the necessary properties as right-of-way along Tabor Street for the aforementioned street improvement. H.C. Peck and Associates Incorporated was previously selected to perform the work. Construction plans have essentially been completed to 60%, and right-of-way acquisition needs have been determined with the assistance of H.C. Peck and Associates. The first draft of the right-of-way plan has been developed for a review process with RTD, and staff will be seeking concurrence with RTD in order to move forward with the right-of-way property acquisition process. This process requires adherence with procedures set forth by state and federal requirements. As part of those requirements, the City Council must approve a resolution authorizing commencement of the acquisition procedure. The project is expected to commence construction in early summer 2015. In order for construction to proceed on schedule, the property acquisition process must move forward immediately.
Thank you. Do we have any staff report?
Ms. Wooden's description there was pretty detailed, so
Yes, it
if
was.
you have any questions, we're here to answer any questions.
Council have any questions of staff? This is open to public input. I don't know that anybody has signed up. Apparently not. Is there anyone that wants to comment on this particular item, this acquisition of Tabor? Okay. A motion seems to be in order.
Motion, I move to approve resolution number 56-2014, a resolution concerning the acquisition of private property for the purpose of constructing, installing, maintaining, and using public improvements for the Tabor Street multimodal improvements by either negotiation and voluntary purchase or, if necessary, through the utilization of the city's power of eminent domain and authorizing such action as necessary to accomplish said purposes.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. DiTullio. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 5. Ms. Davis again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion to approve payment of the sales tax increment for September of fiscal year 2014 from the Town Center project in the amount of $75,170.52 to Renewal Wheat Ridge. The 2014 September sales tax increment for Wheat Ridge Town Center due to Renewal Wheat Ridge totals $75,170.52. Expenditures over $35,000 require City Council approval. The background: the city adopted the Wheat Ridge Town Center Urban Renewal Plan on December 14, 1981, which provided the utilization of property and sales tax increment in the commercial area east of Wadsworth Boulevard between West 38th Avenue and West 44th. The property tax increase expired in 2006 after 25 years. Through an IGA between the city and the Wheat Ridge Urban Renewal Authority signed on June 26, 2006, the sales tax increment was amended so that the maximum increase for the Wheat Ridge Town Center project paid to Renewal Wheat Ridge shall not exceed $100,000 in any fiscal year, and the increment was extended to December 31, 2008. An addendum to the IGA in October 2007 removed the $100,000 annual cap and extended the agreement to December 31st, 2014. In September 2011, the City Council approved via resolution number 49-2011 an increase in the payment from 50% to 100% of the sales tax increments share back through December 31st, 2014. Almost done.
More?
No, almost done with the 2014 December.
That's, oh, okay. Any discussion?
Just a heads up for council that as Ms. Davis mentioned, that this IGA expires on December 31st, 2014. So next Monday evening, we'll have a discussion about maybe a new arrangement between the city and the Renewal Wheat Ridge and extending this IGA.
I believe a motion is in order.
I move to approve payment of the sales tax increment for September of fiscal year 2014 from the Town Center project in the amount of $75,170.52 to Renewal Wheat Ridge.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Wooden. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item number 6, Mr. Fitzgerald, would you introduce, please?
The issue is the city offices will be closed on the week of Thanksgiving and the week of Christmas. And so this is a motion to cancel the city council meeting for those weeks. So the motion is, I move to cancel the regular meeting of the city council on November 24th and December 22nd, 2014, due to the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays.
May I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Please poll the council.
Mr. Fitzgerald, could you vote again, please? Motion carries 7-0.
That concludes the business portion of our meeting. Do we have any discussion from the city manager?
Mayor, I do not have anything this evening. Thank you.
City attorney?
Not tonight, thanks.
Now, I have a habit of forgetting the city clerk, so we're going to start with her. City
I
clerk,
don't have
something?
anything tonight.
Nothing tonight? Mr. DiTullio?
Thank you. I just wanted to remind council that it's been brought up a couple of times. We only swear people in on quasi-judicial public hearings when there's a land use involved. So the swearing in is like on ordinances for certain code items don't get sworn in. It's just quasi-judicial when it's a public hearing and it's like land use or something like that. Thank you.
Mr. Starker?
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Mr. Urban, with a new beard.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'd just like to encourage everybody to get out to vote. It's our civic duty to vote. Many of your neighbors have already voted. That ballot sitting on your kitchen table. Get it down here to City Hall or put it in the mailbox. Your vote will count, and just want to encourage everybody to participate as your civic duty. Thank you.
Ms. Davis?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Pond?
Thank you. Nothing tonight.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
And Ms. Wooden?
I'd like to thank everyone that came out tonight to speak. I appreciate that we have so many engaged citizens. I'd also like to thank all the people that came out for Trunk or Treat. It was a wonderful success. The weather cooperated, so it was easy for families to bring all their kids out. And thank you to everyone who participated and supported that event on 38th Avenue.
I believe that's it. I believe we can adjourn the meeting. Thank you all. Meeting's adjourned.